What's going on, everyone? It's Mike and it's Ian from Across the Park podcast. Make sure you go over to the channel. The link will be in the description below. And we continue to be sponsored by Flyers Indoor Golf. We're getting closer and closer to the season starting, to make sure you come down there. Grab a pint with me, grab a pint with Millsy, John. We'll have a laugh and a joke. At some point, we'll have a game of golf, no doubt. And yeah, just come and join us.
The elephant in
Millsy,
the room,
welcome back.
everybody is saying, where the hell is John? So John did decline the invites to come on tonight's video for reasons that he was busy. So me and Mike have got our own thoughts on what what John could be up to on a Sunday evening. If you've got any ideas or suggestions or thoughts on what John could be doing on a Sunday night, put them in the comments.
Oh, please do. Yeah, most of them will involve his wife, but please let me know what your thoughts are. Millsy, welcome back on the channel, mate. How you
Thank you, mate.
feeling?
Good, mate. It's extremely hot. I actually watched John suffer through a video. Was it last night? And he was just absolutely sweating cobs. And I was watching it going, it's not that hot. It must be the headset or it must be the light, because I'm now feeling I've got vibes. Is it as hot by you as it is here? We got 31 this weekend, and it's the way our country is built and the big cities. It's not really meant for sun and heat to be blasting off buildings the way it does. It's been a bit sticky up here.
Yeah, I think we had 33 yesterday, I think.
Wow.
But I mean, either way, mate. I mean, the thing is, and this is what people fail. There's lots of people, and we're very grateful that watch this channel from different parts of the world, and they're all like 30 degrees. There's nothing, but we're a country that has no aircon, really. You know, we don't have the ability to just cool ourselves down, even in shops. When we're walking around, it's roasting. No, shops are cool. Yeah, mate. I mean, it's an absolute sauna pit at the minute in every part of the country. And to be honest, I think it's going to get slightly better over the next few days. But mate, we've been having one of these every 3 weeks, every 2 weeks. So
No, look, we can't complain, because it will soon be dark after tea time, and you can't do things overnight. So it's nice to have the weather. Although I am going to Oasis on Wednesday, and it is forecast to be absolutely peddling it down. So yeah, I'll be moaning at that. But life is good, my friends. How are you? I don't think anybody ever asks how you are. How is life in the Mike household?
yeah, mate, it's good. It's good. A bit of love earlier, to be fair. You know, I looked at my garden. I thought, oh my God, how do I save my grass? And one of the lads from one of the other podcasts and channels commented and gave me some really sound advice. So, Ben, if you're watching, mate, thank you for your advice, pal. Really appreciate it from a view from the Bullens, because his grass, looking at his picture, was immaculate, to be fair to him. So,
Fair play.
hopefully he can educate me on the ways of that. I think let's dig into it. More rumours today around Douglas Luiz. Apparently, Everton have engaged with Juventus, and apparently, whether this is true or not, but they're quite keen to speed this deal through.
Yes.
He'd also been linked with a loan move and an obligation to buy with West Ham yesterday. But I don't know if you agree, but this feels to me very similar to what Barry did. Whereas it was sort of happening, and then it happened. And it's sort of like, I kind of do feel that Everton are in the race for Douglas Luiz, because the rumour isn't going away.
Yeah, look, it reads to me like there's several interested clubs, and the source that's been moving news quickly today is Italian based. I imagine they being the players team around them is a support network, as agency, as management consultancy, are working with Juventus. They probably want a swift resolution. So I think it stinks a little bit of maybe that they're trying to drum up. If West Ham are now heavily linked, will Everton move? If Everton are heavily linked with the West Ham move, and all's fair in love and war. I think when I was on here about 10 days ago, and we talked about Douglas Luiz, I think we were both all for him. It's a player who aggressively goes and gets the ball and then moves it and uses it. It's a very, very good midfielder with Premier League experience. I don't want Everton to get drawn over a bidding war for somebody who, despite being what I've just lauded him for, I mean, there's other players out there who could do a job that Douglas Luiz could do. I would like to see him in Everton share, but I wouldn't get into a bidding war. If the price is 20 now, Everton can't get into a situation where it's 25 on Thursday and it's 30 on Sunday. I think Everton have to then walk away. We've done that enough in the past with players. So, yeah, there's been a bit more action today in relation to news. I'm just a little bit, if you get where I'm coming from, I'm a bit apprehensive over where those sources are coming from.
Yeah, I get it. It's difficult, isn't it? Because we all want to sign players, and we almost want the bandwagon, don't we? We want the euphoria of, oh, we're linked with him today, but it does seem to be very calculated, this transfer window. And me, you, and John, we've all had opinions about the speed of the transfers, and me and John obviously commented on it yesterday. And I think me and you had shared a similar opinion that we would have liked 5 deals done by the time we play Accrington Stanley, and technically, by all accounts, we've got 4. Do you want to see a goalkeeper, for example, by Accrington Stanley,
Yes.
or do you want to see more?
No, but by Tuesday, I think Travers has to play that game. I think Everton have got Harry Tyra, who's had a couple of decent loan spells out. Now you'd probably get away with playing him at Accrington and Blackburn, and results aren't really an issue in pre-season unless you're getting hammered. Then you don't really look at the results. But I would like the backup goalkeeper in by Accrington. And then, yeah, I mean, you've said 4 there. You're including, I guess, the retention of Michael Keane and a Drissagana guy, which is fair. That stops the need for a central midfield player, and it stops the need for a centre half, and it means right back looks a bit more covered, because we know Jake O'Brien can and probably will start the season there. So I'd like Everton to move this week. Blackburn, for me, if you go into the Blackburn game with just Travers, then okay, there's probably enough to get away with these 2 domestic pre-season friendlies with a small squad, and you get your 14 or 15 fit, and you have a look at Harrison Armstrong. I think that this is a really good week for Everton to have a look at Harrison Armstrong. I think that's been almost forgotten about, that he had a really good spell at a championship team last season, and he's coming in with the bit between his teeth and a point to prove. Can he light it up this pre-season? Can he go chasing the ball, winning it, giving it? Can he look like he can play a part? So these 2 games are important for multiple reasons, but the overseas tour to America, where they're going to be training, bonding, going over probably more in-depth plans for how Everton attack the season, has to include 2 more for me. And for me, Mike, it's got to be the winger and it's got to be the central midfielder. You've got to get them in now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the rationale that I used with John last night was, if we were going to America and we were playing 2 American teams, and that, by the way, this is not a disrespect to the MLS. But we're playing 3 Premier League teams. We're playing teams that we're going to be playing in the league on a regular basis, and they're all probably at different points. West Ham, I'm not particularly confident for West Ham. Don't get me wrong, I think they stay up, but I don't think they have a good season. I think you're going to have a very weird Bournemouth side, because I think they've lost 2 good players, but they've got a good manager. Okay. And I think Man United, you just don't know what you've got. So, we go in there, and I think the ideology would be that Everton go there with a very strong squad, and we go and win the tournament. All jokes aside, it could be a really good platform to go into the season having beaten 3 Premier League teams, and then going into a pre-season friendly against Roma, getting a result at the new ground, and then running into the new season against a Leeds side who are newly promoted. The energy that this pre-season tour can bring could be fantastic. But don't get me wrong, as we said to John, you have to have a pretty solid squad, and at that point, you're right. The right winger's got to be in. The central midfielder's got to be in. Harrison Armstrong's got to have been seen. You know, is he going to continue in this pre-season, or is he going to go out and get a loan? Because it would be good for him to be able to go and get into a team and do their pre-season and get themselves going and doing all of the things that they need to do. We've been linked with another midfielder tonight as well, Lens midfielder Neil Anyanu, which I'm not going to say I know a lot about. I don't. But Roma have been in for him. They've also been linked with Richard Rios. And this was the other thing I wanted to ask you. Are you noticing a link between Everton's recruitment and Roma's recruitment? And what do you make of it?
It's got the potential to work well, hasn't it? Let's focus on the positive first of all. If a relationship can be forged at not only first team level but academy level with a really, really good Serie A Italian side, then that could have its positives. I would not like to see us get into a situation where we are signing players to just loan out to help Roma. I wouldn't mind it the other way, but that's not going to happen. You can't have a one-way street. So I'd like to take that off the table. I would like to see a number of youth players maybe be used in a situation where we can benefit each other. And can we send I don't know, one of our players over to play in Italy for a season? A young player, can an Italian player come over and play in England for a season? And can we develop players? But I have noticed the links, and again, we're going back to what I answered the first question: is it lazy journalism? Is it journalists who are now sitting here going, "I'm getting paid for today. I have to make something up. Otherwise, I'm not getting paid. I've got to, and my tweet has to have more clicks than someone else." So I don't know. Look, we haven't seen it yet. So I do think there's an element of lazy journalism. But again, like I said there, I mean, would you be okay if the news came out, maybe not now, but towards the end of the pre-season, that two of our youngsters are going to go and play a season for Roma under 23s, and then in return we're going to take an Italian striker to play for ours?
No, I wouldn't. I would have nothing against it. And when you look at that, it's actually quite appealing because it's exactly what Chelsea did for a long time. It's exactly what Manchester City have done, and all these other clubs. They've all managed to get their youth teams and their youth players into situations where they can start playing different types of football. Not just this Premier League style. I mean, the one that stands out to me is, Jadon Sancho. He was at Manchester City. He went, "No, thanks. I'm going to go to Dortmund." Goes to Germany, rips it up in Germany. Now, don't get me wrong, it hasn't worked out for him in the Premier League. Let's be fair. But he knows he can go to Germany and have a decent season. He knows he can go somewhere else. It's not just he just collapses down the pyramid. It's the same with the Bellinghams. They went from Birmingham City to Dortmund and Sunderland, respectively. And they now know that they don't just have to play in England. They can go and play in Spain. In Jude's case, they can go and play in Germany. And they know the leagues. Everton haven't and never have done it enough. You hit the nail on the head, though, the other week when you said there's probably a reason for that. And there's probably a reason why we don't see many of our young lads in the first team. And that, unfortunately, is they're probably not good enough.
Oh, it's been cast aside. I can tell you straight. I'm not in the know, but I know that's been cast aside. And I know for a fact that Everton's academy and Everton's women's team, I've had almost no focus on them for a number of years because the club's been in chaos. And the result of that now is that the women's team are being rebuilt. You can see that the Friedkins are a big believer because I think Roma Feminine have been champions in their league and they believe in that. So Everton women are now going through a period where, and I think the academy has to come next. But you're right, there's no one coming through. Harrison Armstrong is is probably his natural ability makes him stand out more than the guys who've been coached since they were 8, 9 or 10 and then been left aside when they were 13, 14. I mean, I was surprised to see last week the news that Tyler Onyango was being sent to Stockport. I honestly, without being disrespectful, forgot we had him. Same, Reece Welsh is still there. I almost forget we have these players, and God love them, because 4 or 5 years ago, there was a little bit of buzz about these guys. Well, they're going to pre-season with Everton. They're going to go to the Austrian camp. Frank Lampard's going to give them some minutes, or Carlo Ancelotti likes them. And then all of a sudden, that was cast aside. So you're right. I did say that, and I stand by it. I know for a fact that the academy system has got good people in it who've had nothing, no torch, no funding, no focus, and they've got through. And Everton have had to play games at competitive levels, all the levels, because we have to. But there hasn't been a plan, and that's got to change. And you'll probably see that by the amount of players who you'll maybe watch this week. Who have you heard of them? Has there been rumblings and rumours about this guy who's coming through? And I had this conversation last week. I know this is probably a bad example, but there's a reason I'm using this example is, look at Tom Davis and John Joe Kenny now. They might not have been great Everton players, but they're going to forge careers at good levels, and they are forging careers at good levels. And there was a little bit of buzz about them to the level where maybe some fans spent time to go and watch them at a youth level, because there was always a buzz. Can you tell me who now, other than Armstrong?
Well, yeah, and then that's the problem. And we actually spoke about it when, we did the game at the new stadium. We did was it Bolton against our under-23s, under-21s, and the one player that stood out on that pitch, and it sounds awful, but I can't even remember his name. And we've just got rid of him, by all accounts, is my understanding. The one player that seemed to get on the ball and take people on, and was it Butterfield? I don't know. Anyway, he literally was the one person that would get on the ball, looked half decent, and he's gone. He's gone by all accounts. And there's players that have done this the whole time. Look at Matthew Pennington. Matthew Pennington has got a goal against Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm sure he scored.
What a trivia question that is.
And when you actually look at his career, he's now 30 years old. He's 30 years old. He played for Everton until 2021.
Well, there was that era where David Unsworth was almost auditioning to be the next Everton manager, and he was auditioning by winning every game in the under-21 league by playing overage players. There was that period, wasn't there? And Pennington. Look, and this whole conversation about youth is not a slant on our youth players. It's a slant on the club and how they've developed young players. But going back to Pennington, I remember Moyes played a game where I think Kieran Zal was 24, Umani Ash was 28, Matthew Pennington was 25, and Everton won that game comfortably and went advanced in the Youth Cup. And that didn't give anyone anything other than the manager of that team at the time.
We actually have said this. So me and John discussed this. Everton's youth team about 5 years ago, if I remember, the under-18s won the league and the under-21s won the league, or one finished second and one won the league. And when you actually look at the team of players, I think Umani Ash was the top goal scorer for the under-21s. Yeah. I mean, it's appalling, and these are the things that have to be rebuilt. But the other thing we need to be doing, and this is something that, again, I think we should be echoing. We are being linked with decent players this summer. Whereas in summers gone by, we haven't been. There's been players. I mean, we can still go back to the summer where we spent £2.5 million, and that was on Damari Gray, and everyone else was free signings. And I mean, it went all right at the start. Andros Townsend scored 7 in 9 games or something. It fell apart very quickly, and the manager was soon sacked, thankfully. But when you look, you never see Everton and signing youth players, under 13, under 14s from teams. You never hear of people going, "Oh, Everton have just poached our superstar from wherever." And don't get me wrong, it would happen when players were like, I don't know, 16, 17. You know, we did it with Jared Branthwaite from Carlisle. We did it with Mason Holgate to a degree. We did it with Calvert-Lewin from Sheffield United. We did do it with a lad. He was a centre half and he looked fantastic. I'm sure his name was Gibson.
So it was Lewis Gibson. I think we got him from QPR. Yeah, I remember. I think we paid at $1.5 million. But again, I think Lewis Gibson has got him forged the career.
Yeah.
So that was at a level. And what I would say, Mike, is in my opinion, I'd say 5 years. But I'll ask you, how long have Everton needed a right back for? I'd say roughly 5 years. I'd say the Marco Silva era. It was being
highlighted. I mean, but even then, Coleman was 30 at that point. So yeah.
In that moment when Everton go and loan in Jibril Sidibe, and they say, well, this is a short-term fix, should the academy at that point not have been saying, well, this is an area that we can maybe develop someone? We need a left-back now. We need attacking players. The academy now, which hopefully it is, under David Moyes will look a lot more fruitful, I think should be looking at, okay, the areas in this squad are there, and there. Can we have a bit of a kitty to go and get the best 16-year-olds in the country right now and see if we can get them in a team in 2 years? That should be it. And then you've got someone behind that saying, well, okay, you go and do that. I'll go and get the best 13-year-olds, and then we'll put them in at this level. And then the level behind it goes, okay, well, all these areas that you're focusing on, you forgot about our centre-halves now, goalkeepers, so we go and have a look at the best 11-year-olds in the country. And that's what did happen at every club, including Everton, for a long time, and it's been forgotten about at Everton. It's been forgotten about. You've said there, very well put. Everton invested in the best young players in the league. Some work, some don't. That hasn't happened for a long time, mate. A long time.
The other thing that, you know, we have signed some players over the last few years, like, for example, Amari Benjamin. But he was a reject from Arsenal. And look, I'm not saying Amari Benjamin is a good striker or not. No one knows. Like, literally no one knows, because over the last few years, or certainly the last season, they weren't going to get the opportunity. And I sort of stood back from this because I wanted to see Chimite. I wanted to see, you know, him get given a chance when he could have. The one that stands out for me is when he started Brozier at Nottingham Forest instead of Chimite, and in a game that didn't matter because we were safe. But I think the reason why all that happened was because we needed to finish as high up the league as possible, and he trusted more experienced players than he did the youth team. Do you think that mentality has to change from David Moyes? Because if you look back at David Moyes' first tenure at Everton, how many youth players can you say come through the ranks at Everton? And I literally can name. Well, one stands out.
Yeah, you could probably go through the list. So Rooney would have came through regardless of who. Like that was just a welcome present for anyone who came in 2002. Anachibi came through. James Vaughan came through. I think Tony Hibbert came through. Ross Barkley was maybe you could see Moyes didn't quite trust Ross Barkley. There was glimpses of where he'd try and use him, and yeah, there wasn't a number. I think, but there was always a decent academy there that the likes of, like I said, look at Shane Duffy. That's another one that they went and got for buttons, and he's forged a career in the Premier League and at international level. So I remember Shane Duffy getting a few games. Jose Baxter came through. James Wallace was around the squad. There was always something around the squads where you'd know who they were. Now I think we're going to go to Accrington on Tuesday, and unless you're a really, really big Evertonian where you know the top to bottom of things, you're probably going to struggle to identify a lot of the players on the bench on Tuesday. And again, it goes back to my point. I wanted to be, I've heard of him. Like, when Baxter came through, now Baxter didn't quite make it for a multitude of reasons, but there was that we've heard of him. He's breaking records down there, even to before Moyes came in. Jeffers was one. Michael Branch, but back in the 90s, was one where you'd heard of them. Rooney was the example, obviously. Kieran Dowell, another one where you'd heard good things of. Ross Barkley had loan deals. Ross Barkley was coming through at 14, 15, and people was going, Everton have got a kid there. Jack Rodwell, another one where before he'd kicked the ball, he was linked to big teams. So we have to get back to that. And I think Moyes does have the mindset. I do agree with you to an extent. I think he probably has trust issues in playing young players. I think if he's got the choice of playing experience versus youth in a game he wants Everton to win, he'll probably always pick experience unless the youth player is extremely, extremely talented. But no, I think that's the look. David Moyes said in one of his first press conferences he's not the long-term Everton manager, but he'd like to be at Everton for a long time. So if that indicates that Moyes wants to sit upstairs in a Dalglish type role and help, then the academy has to be part of it. And the academy being part of it means either this year or next we get one or two at least being playing a few games. Because again, if it's only Armstrong, it's just not good enough. It's not nowhere near good enough.
Do you was you surprised at players like Roman Dixon, for example, being linked with? Because again, with the fact that Patterson, it's obvious that Patterson's not going to be a future right back at Everton. Nope. It's obvious. Coleman obviously isn't. Roman Dixon, he is young, and he's got a lot to learn, but he does have some qualities that is, beneficial. He's absolutely rapid, and he's not scared of getting up and down. We did see him in the Premier League last season, albeit he was probably our only option. Would you like to have kept him and saw him in pre-season, or because he's been linked with loan moves away, hasn't he, and whatever? What do you think on players like Roman Dixon?
So Roman Dixon's development in the 24-25 season was sitting in the stands for Everton Football Club. Going to Stockport now and playing the year on loan will do him the world of good. But it's got to be a plan. It can't just be he turns up at Finch Farm next July and no one's got a plan. There has to be a plan where we say, okay, if he performs to our level, then he would maybe come back into the pre-season. If he doesn't, can we get £2 million for him? And some sort of plan. It can't be an Onyango just going out and coming back, going out. It can't be that. They deserve more. The young players who are probably like our kids, young Evertonians who do anything to play for the football club, and they get put in an environment due to their natural skill, and the environment fails them almost. So with Dixon, no, I think we've hampered him. I think last season when he played at Tottenham, I felt for him. I felt so much for him. And the only reason he played is because Mason Holgate got booed coming on against Brighton. If the Mason Holgate change didn't happen in an angry environment at Goodison where it was maybe only 1-0 or a 0-0, but we were 3-0 down, getting battered, and the crowd were hot, and the manager read the room and said, I can't put him out there because if we get beat, I'll have all the questions on me. I'm going to tank the pressure upon me. However, I'm reading the room here. They want to see Roman Dixon. Let's put Roman Dixon, and that was probably harsh on Dixon. Probably really harsh to an extent. That the right game for him. Was it Stevenage or who were you playing? Was it we played someone in the second round of the cup.
Stevenage, weren't it? Beto come on, didn't they?
That was the game for Roman Dixon. That was the game. But no, a long answer to a short question. The better thing for Everton's current young right back is to go and play minutes now because he's done nothing for a year.
No, fair enough. Right, last one on transfers because obviously we are keen on them happening.
Very keen.
Very keen. Do you think Douglas Luiz happens at Everton? What, in your heart of heart, do you think it happens?
No, I don't. I think all the signs point to he's being touted round. And when there's multiple suitors, you're not in control of the situation. If Everton were the only suitor and it was a player who'd lost a little bit of form in Italy and was looking for a bit of love, yeah, but there's 4 or 5 teams linked with him. And Everton are going to go to the table against 4 or 5 other teams. Now, that then gives him the license or his agency, his sports management company to to players off each other, and I don't want Everton to get involved. So if Everton can go and do a deal now and say how much you want, is it a loan fee of 7.5 with an obligation of 18 next season? Go and do it. But if it's we're not too sure yet, we've got a couple of teams, we walk away. So I don't know. I don't think it happens. I just think there's too many people involved. What about you? Do you think
No,
we'll go
I
and get
agree.
that done?
No, I agree. And it's a similar situation with the lad from PSV, Bakayoko,
Yeah.
the winger. He's a player that I would absolutely love. I just can't see it happening because there'll be teams, without sounding, there'll be teams in Europe that they'll want to go and play for. And that's the fundamentals, In terms of Villarreal and Barry, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know what was going on, but Everton were very ballsy and probably fairly quick out the blocks with Barry. The fact that we haven't been quick out the blocks for a centre midfielder, it makes me think that it worries me, actually. It worries me that we haven't got that number of targets, if you get what I mean. When people say your first option, your second option, your third option, it's been very obvious that Everton's first/second option was Thierno Barry. And I think Walter Mead was in there as probably 1 and 2 as well. Obviously, he's just signed for Bayern Munich and Everton moved for Barry. There you go.
Liam Delap was the one, wasn't he? They tried to do him in May, didn't he? So he was the one, and you're right, they went down the list, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Liam Delap was probably 1 then, to be fair. And the offer was, by all accounts, fantastic. By all accounts, it was fantastic. And looking at how fantastic João Pedro looks, I think he may have made a mistake. But hey, that's on him. But when you look at all the players that get linked, it is the players where Everton are the only one in the race that Everton tend to sign, and it's a bit of an indictment of where we are, really, because although we've got this shiny new stadium and we've got new owners and we've got a whole new backroom team and that, we're not privy to the conversations that happen that are come to Everton Football Club. You are the future. We want to be challenging for the league. We want to be doing it. We don't know what message is being delivered. So we don't know how attractive the proposition is from Everton. Mm-hmm. In terms of things like, seeing what we've seen in the past, I don't want us going out and signing the next Michael Keane on £100,000 a week, or, going and signing the Davy Klaassen, who was, a captain of a Champions League team at the time, and Everton managed to lure him in with big salaries. Gylfi Sigurdsson was the standout at Swansea, and Everton went and spent £48 million on him, etc., etc., etc. There's loads of things that I don't want Everton to do, but I do want us to have the best team possible going into next season, and that worries me because I don't know if you agree with this, but when I look at the standard of English football right now, it's almost like there's a chasm between the absolute top quality players, which I think there were less of, by the way, and the bang average players. But there's not a massive chasm in terms of the pay and the salaries and the transfer fees. Do you know what I mean? Like when I look at bang average players, and this is no disrespect to these particular players, but I look at, say, a Nicholas Jackson. He hasn't lit it up in the Premier League. He hasn't done particularly well, but yet Chelsea won £100 million for him. What? It doesn't compute. But then you're looking at players that, have got some deliverables, like, I don't know, like Isak, and he's being linked to £120 million. And you sit there and you think, I don't get it. And then you're looking at, I think Newcastle have been linked with Itiki. I can never pronounce his name, to be fair. Yeah. So it looks like that could be an Isak replacement, and yet he's going to cost £80 million. There is just there's no line between real quality. You've got a PSV winger who got something like, I can't remember the amount of goals and assists he got, but
you got 9 last season, and the season before, when he was played more wide, he was played more narrow last season. But when he played more wide, he got 16 assisting goals.
And then don't get me wrong, it's a different league, but you're looking at Anthony Elanga. So one's at 20 million, one's at 55 million. The standard in the Premier League is off. And I think there's 1, 2, or 3 teams that are what you would deem real top teams. Then I think between 3rd and probably 9th, I think there's very little in between them. It's just that they may have the sprinkling of quality. I think between 9th and 15th, there's nothing in that. I think anyone can finish in those positions. And then you look at the bottom 3, no disrespect to them, as much as Sunderland are giving it a go, I still think they'll go down. So I think the bottom 3 that come up go down. Yeah. It's so the Premier League as a standard, as a game, in my humble opinion, is shit. I look at the standard of football and I look at the quality from 20 years ago. Your standout strikers, Van Nistelrooy, Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer's. We can't say the same in today's game. You can't say it.
Could you give me could you give me in 5 seconds the 5 best Premier League strikers? I think you'd struggle.
No, I couldn't. And then people would argue about what is deemed a striker anymore, because some people will go, "Oh, Mohamed Salah is he a striker?"
No. So big actual number 9s or big actual strikers: Erling Haaland, Alexander Isak. Don't know.
Ollie Watkins. That's
Ollie Watkins.
They're your top 3.
And I just don't. I don't know. Whereas years ago, you could have reeled them off. You had your Van Persie's, your Van Nistelrooy's, you had your Henry's. You played there. And before then, in the 90s, it was Shearer, Sutton, Sheringham, Fowler, Ian Wright, Les Ferdinand, Dion Dublin, Big Duncan Ferguson. It's gone. It's if Harry Kane retired now, who plays number 9 for England?
Ollie Watkins, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no one. There's no one to replace Harry Kane, really.
But the problem is the replacement for Harry Kane will cost £100 million, but be worth 30. And it's so poor, and that's why this transfer market, more than anything this year, some of the numbers that are being bandied about really concern me, because when you're looking at clubs being sold for 300, 400, 500 million pound, but yet you're looking at strikers that don't score more than 10 or 11 Premier League goals being linked for 100 million pound. I find it mad. Noni Madueke, 50 million pound. What?
Joe.
And Everton, and again, this is where Everton have been left in the lurch. We can't take advantage of this because no one wants our players. It used to be, right, every summer. I don't know if you were the same, right? Let's go to 2006, 2007, 2008, right? So I am 13, 14, 15, 16 in those periods, right? Mm-hmm. And every summer I'm going, oh my God, we're going to lose Arteta, or we're going to lose Tim Cahill, or someone's going to come in for, Stephen Pienaar. I remember Stephen Pienaar going to Tottenham, and I was devastated. I was so happy when he come back. And every summer, Arteta was linked with various moves away. Everyone used to scream about him playing for Spain, and it never happened. And I was like, it's only a matter of time before someone comes. And to be fair, with Arteta, in my opinion, we sold him at the right time. I was devastated, but we sold him at the right time. I think it was 30, 10 million.
He had a bad cruciate ligament injury, and it took a little bit off. I remember the fight that we lost, which seemed to take a lot out of David Moyes. Lescott, we lost that fight, and we just couldn't keep Lescott. Well, Jagielka was rumoured away. Leighton Baines was rumoured away. There was lots, and then you get to your Lukaku's and your Barclays and your John Stoneses. There was always someone who you thought.
There's just one. It's just Branthwaite. It's just Branthwaite, and eventually, as painful as it is for us, we know he's going to leave, and that's I'm okay with that. But there is no one else. No one looks at that Everton team and goes, oh, he's a great player. You know, even look at Crystal Palace, not a dig at Palace at all, but you look at them and go, Michael Elise last season, Bayern Munich, Eze this season, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, wherever.
Yeah.
Adam Wharton. You look at these teams, they've all got players that people want to take. Yet you look at Everton, not a soul.
No. It's been a patched up job for a while, mate, hasn't it? It's been a patched up job for a long time, and there's been look, without digging the club out too much. I remember Kevin Thelwell came in, and I remember he tried to get Kudus, Gibbs White, and the deals just couldn't be done. So there's been people identifying where we need to move, but again, going back to what we said at the start, the entire torch has been shown on the Everton men's team, and it's neglected. You know what comes up under it, and now we're in a situation where if we lost Seamus Coleman or Michael Keane, there is nobody waiting in Everton's youth team good enough to replace Michael Keane or a 37-year-old Seamus Coleman.
And that, unfortunately, speaks volumes. Well, look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this debate because I always like just talking about the club and where we are and what we need to do going forward. And Millsy is incredibly articulate and he does know what he's talking about. And he's definitely a better host than John. So go and give him some love on Across the Park. And I know you can't necessarily give us too much because, you know, I know you have guests on and you have various things, but when's the next show, my friend? When's the next big show? We've had Alan Myers and that was fantastic. When's the next bigger?
Yeah, we had one last week, which we unfortunately lost at the last minute. I'll tell you off air who that was. I just don't want to reveal a person's name because it's not fair because they might get inbox. But we did try and get an ex-player on to do an Everton timeline with them. At the 11th hour, it fell by the wayside. So we're looking to do it. I mean, this pre-season, we made the choice just to literally watch you guys and just let you guys, just because we're big fans of what you do, and I'm happy that you asked me to come on. We don't want to flood the market with everybody's opinions on things. I mean, if something drastic happens, we'd probably get a show together. But we'll probably have one more show between now and pre-season, and then we're looking at getting back into a new studio, hopefully, or a new venue, shall we say, and doing our weekly shows. But we're enjoying the break. Judgy is an extremely busy man to pull the curtains back. Anybody who watches Across the Park podcast, Judgy got a very, very big promotion at the tail end of last year, which took a lot of his time off. He's also, similar to me, a girl dad and a boy dad, which takes up a lot of time. So we're enjoying the break. I'm enjoying coming on here, but I appreciate the plug, and we will be back next season to give you hopefully some content that you'll enjoy.
Good. Well, guys, look, and I'm sure I'll be on Across the Park as well.
100%.
You
even done a hosting job. Remember the time I had you hosting someone because I couldn't do it. You did the whole show.
Yeah, I hosted it. Mate, there's been loads of times where I've had to stand in for various shows and I've done my bit, and I always will. So, yeah, if you want to see Mike on the Across the Park podcast, make sure you go and subscribe, and I will be there. An appearance fee will be charged to Across the Park podcast.
It's due.
I'm joking. Right, guys, look, we will leave it there. This video is going to be a late one, so make sure, well, you'd have watched it by now, so it doesn't matter. I hope you've enjoyed it. Keep smiling, up the toffees. Remember to go over to Flyers, get yourself booked in for a game of golf and a few pints, and we'll see you soon. Up the toffees.